Hello and off Cammy. On to the Rangers Rabble podcast. It's so good to be talking about Rangers, even though first 20 minutes we probably won't be talking about Rangers. So hello and welcome. I'm Martin and I'm joined by Brian. Brian, my friend, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
I'm very, very good. All technical issues sorted?
Yes, 100%.
Cammy, all technical issues sorted?
I hope so. I'm hoping it blocks me out for the next 15 minutes.
And Cammy, obviously, in fact, all three of you are late subs. But you were out, obviously, Kerr walking the dogs. And if you want, you don't have to, but do you want to tell everybody the dogs' names?
Ali and Walter.
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Could you get a bit? So we're going to be discussing the vaccine passport breaking news. I don't know how this conversation is going to go. We'll have a wee quick recap on all of the Daily Record nonsense. And then, Cammy, we're going to speak about the international football, how the Rangers players got on. And then we'll have a wee delve into the St Johnstone game. Before we do that, we're on YouTube. Please do subscribe and like if you enjoy the content. Get your comments in. We'll flash them up on the screen. And we are, of course, on Patreon. So if you're a regular viewer, you'll know this. If this is your first time watching, we have plenty of bonus content, 3, 4, sometimes 5 shows a week on our Patreon. The link is in the description. I know that there is loads of Patreon content out there and not everybody can afford to sign up to 100 different Patreons. But we appreciate everybody and anybody who signs up. So if you do fancy it, it's £2 a month for loads of extra content. Cammy, you recorded a show today.
Day in history, which was very enjoyable with Derek. We spoke for about half an hour, and we could probably have kept on going. It was really good, and I've got about another 10 matches that'll probably at some point in the future. But I'm not going to divulge what the game was, but it was very enjoyable.
And that'll be out tomorrow if I can get my arse in gear and edit it. Right, so vaccine passports announced today. Oh, this is going to be a fun conversation, and I think I'll start with Cammy because I know he's just that excited to get into it. You're going to have to prove that you've been double vaccinated from, is it the 1st of October, in stadiums, in all sport and stadiums that hold over 10,000 spectators. Cammy, what do you think?
I think the 1st of October is highly ambitious. That's my initial thoughts. I think personally I don't agree with it. I'm double vaccinated. I paid for my season ticket, but there's people that, for a variety of reasons, some medical, and including some good friends, have not had the vaccine because it would have a negative impact on their health. Are they going to be penalised as a result of this? I think more detail is required. I think the SPFL and the SFA have already come out and said they are not in support of it, and they would rather have spot checks, which I am aware is already happening down south, certainly at Old Trafford. Logistically, 50,000, 60,000 people getting into Ibrox is difficult enough. Using your smart card at times, using the QR codes during the friendlies was an adventure at points. So the bigger clubs are clearly not going to want. Do you need a turnstile operator at every single turnstile to check the QR codes? There's just so much detail. There's so many questions. But as I think, without getting into a political debate on this, I think it was mentioned in Holyrood today that there's been no consultation on this. It's just been, this is what's going to happen. We're going ahead with it. We'll have a vote. 2 parties have got the majority anyway, so it was always going to get passed whether there was opposition or not. But it's very much blind leading the blind, and I'm not getting into the political side of it. But I just initially the date of the 1st of October never going to happen in a million years.
I know it's crazy. And Brian, were you listening or watching any of that? Because I can clearly see a game of football in your glasses.
No, it's golf, actually.
Is it golf?
No, I listened to every word and I was amazed. Well, I wasn't amazed, but I was. I mean, it's a backdoor to make sure everybody's getting double vaccinated, as far as I can see. I mean, it's basically saying if you're not double vaccinated, you can't get into a football game or whatever event they're going to be on about. So it's all I can see it is. It's a backdoor of getting everybody double vaccinated, even forcing people that don't want to, perhaps, And it's a dangerous way to go, I think. Very, very dangerous.
Well, I'm going to come to Kerr because Kerr is probably, I'm not going to lie, the most intelligent on the panel, right? And I don't mean that offensively, Cammy or Brian, right? But Kerr's a lot smarter than all of us. He doesn't look at or sound it, but he is.
See, as it says in one of the comments about us being a cracking university challenge.
I was just about to bring that up. Yeah, John McCluskey, top talent on the show. What a university challenge team you guys would make.
The young ones, aye.
Kerr would undoubtedly be the captain.
Kerr would be the only one answering questions. Let's be brutally honest about it.
I'll be
as long as it's not only Connect.
Oh, I've tried to watch that, by the way. I don't even understand that game. But just before we go on, because I want to touch on this subject, and the comment I'm about to bring up, another day goes by and still no Goldson news. Another podcast goes by and we mention Goldson. Now, I'm going to come to that straight after we finish talking about this, Kerr. But your thoughts then, and we've gave you the big build up here, so make this a good answer on all the vaccine passport news.
To be honest with you, I just think it's about control. And that's coming from my personal point of view. I think, they're targeting nightclubs as well. So, like we spoke offline, they're targeting younger people to get vaccinated because they want everybody to be vaccinated. But being vaccinated, as we all know, doesn't mean you're exempt from catching COVID, because I've had it myself and I've been unwell even though I've been vaccinated. So to me, the government, as the Scottish government usually do, don't think properly. So it's not a good idea. I don't think it'll go through in the first. I think there'll be other objections against it. I think a lot of people will rebel, football clubs, nightclubs, events, because there've been a lot of tickets waiting to sale for various concerts and stuff at the Hydro, the SCC. So I think a lot of people are going to rebel against this. So I don't know if we'll put it through for the first. I think there could be a wee bit more investigation into different things before this comes out, especially when Transmit's this weekend, but make it the first. So Transmit's going to happen in Glasgow. Is it Glasgow Green over the weekend? So it's going to be a lot of people there. So they can't pick and choose when to have it, when not to have it. It's about control. Just try to get everybody vaccinated. Like Cammy said earlier, most of us are probably vaccinated, but if you don't want to be vaccinated for various reasons, health reasons, religious reasons, any reason at all, you shouldn't be forced to do it. The only thing I will say is if other countries want you to have a vaccine passport to enter, if you want to go on holiday, maybe that's where they're coming from, but I still think it shouldn't be forced upon you. I think it should be your own choice whether you do it or not.
Yeah, and the actual decision, Brian, if we move away from the decision and we go to the implantation? What's the word I'm looking for? Implementation. There we go. I got it eventually. Like Cammy says, look, this is going to cause chaos.
I mean, when you arrive at Ibrox on a Saturday, who's going to check your phone, or who's going to see what you've got as far as a certificate of vaccination? Who's going to check all 50,000? I mean, are we going to get this time slots again where you have to turn up at a certain time to get in the game?
I'm doing it as well, but everybody has to buy a half-time draw ticket at the same time.
Well,
that's what's going to have to happen. They're going to have to put additional time slots in for people to turn up. Say the Coping Roadists are going at a certain time, the Govan at a certain time. Because they're not going to get through 50,000 people in an hour or half an hour or whatever it is.
It's not going to stop people getting COVID at various events.
Exactly.
You're still going to get traced. You're still going to maybe get a phone call or a text or something. So it's not going to stop you catching it. So I don't see, apart from maybe travelling outside Scotland, I don't see a point of it apart from controlling people and telling where you can and where you can't go unless you're vaccinated. And even then, we'll still probably bring in something else, because even when you go abroad, it's costing you a fortune to get a certain test done. You have to buy them before you go. you go for a test here, it's free. So it's a lot is about money, and a lot is about control, and a lot is about nonsense.
Well, talking about the club, Cammy, and I suppose any club really affected by this. It's over 10,000, so obviously there's only 2 teams in Scotland. If you don't want to get this vaccine and you have already paid for your season ticket, would you be well within your rights? And I'm not saying they will, but this could obviously come up. Would you be well within your rights to seek your money back from said football club?
I would say so, but this is where the governing bodies actually have to. I don't think this is going to be down to the clubs to push this. You know, I think the clubs will obviously be involved, but the SPFL and the SFA have to go to town on this, with obviously the backing of the particularly the two big clubs up here. You know, but if you've paid £600 for your season ticket and you've maybe had 3 or 4 games this season, but come the first home game in October you can't go because you're not double vaccinated. People that have paid for Europa League packages, you get the Lyon game on Thursday night, but you don't get the other 2 games because you're not double vaccinated. It's a whole can of worms, and people quite rightly have put in a lot of cash. Why should they, when they signed up in May, June, July, whenever it was, we paid for our season tickets, they didn't know that this was coming 3-4 months down the line. The government 4 weeks ago, there was senior members of that government that have just voted on this, said 4 or 5 weeks ago that vaccine passports weren't the answer. But now 5 weeks down the line, so in 5 weeks' time, are they going to change their mind and go, do you know something? The individual's concerned. If I was the individual that wasn't double vaccinated and I'd paid for my season ticket, you better believe I'd be asking Rangers. But I would expect the governing bodies, with the support of Rangers and Celtic, to be doing what they need to do to ensure that this doesn't happen for football clubs.
Well, Kerr, the financial aspect alone for football clubs, I don't know. Can this happen? Will it happen?
It probably will happen. I don't think it'll happen as soon as they're trying to make it to happen, but it probably will happen. But financial aspects for teams is going to be, it could be quite steep, and they're out enough having to play behind closed doors for long enough, so they're trying to get back onto, not even label with it, and just try to get back into working again with income for crowds and TV money and sponsorships. And if they go back to that way and they're losing crowds and people want refunds, the clubs aren't going to be happy. And I think this could lose certain individuals in the Scottish Government a lot of votes. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about for these people. They don't care about us in general. It's all about the things they can do. And you just have to look at someone down the road for myself. They're not going to be hit with this because they've only got a stadium that holds about 8,000 or 9,000. But what about Motherwell? Maybe 1 week they've got 9,000. And then the next week there's 12,000 there. How do you police that? 1 week it's free and next week you can't because there's over 10,000 there. So it's not sensible enough at the moment. They're going to have to investigate it more to see how it actually works. And I think they're just trying to make sure they do it probably before England do it, just to get we've done it first, like enough, because that's what they kind of do up here. But it's very difficult to police because then you've got events coming, you've got people kind of go to nightclubs or pubs. So all these people own businesses are going to be screaming, well, we want the refunds on this, we need this, and the government's not going to have money to pay it back, and they won't pay it back, so they're going to tell the companies to do it. And there's a lot involved, Martin. I think it's going to be a long time before it actually goes through.
I'm not going to say which point, but you know how we talked about how intelligent Kerr was? Totally ripped off a point I made before the podcast and made it sound like it was his own. I'm not going to mention what point it was in your wee speech there, Kerr, but just so everybody knows, one of the points was my idea. Brian, John in the comments again, and this is going back to, if there's different times for getting people in.
Yep.
That's going to seriously affect supporters' buses as well. How do you run the bus if all the time slots for various parts of the stadium are different?
Extremely difficult. Especially the one I go from up the north. We all sit in different parts of the stadium, and we all then we're going to have to arrive like super early, and some of us have to go in the stadium early. Some of us can go and have a couple of pints. It's just going to be chaos. Mm-hmm. And then I see there's a point there I was just a way to make. Should the government? It's not the club's fault that this is happening. This is the government. So surely it'll be the government that you'll be seeking money back from rather than the clubs, because it's not the clubs that are enforcing it.
And you know how much chance you've got of getting money back off the government.
Yep.
Absolutely zero. Right, okay,
Zero.
well, that's like 15 minutes on that. We shall move on before Cammy reaches through the computer and strangles me. Before we come to discuss a wee tiny bit, we'll just kind of cap off the whole Daily Record shambles. Before we do that, there was a question in the comments. We talk about it every single podcast, Cammy, so why not discuss it now? No contract yet for Goldson or Kamara, and I'll ask you the same question that I always ask you: should we be worried?
I think as time runs on, I am expecting Goldson to see out his contract and leave at the end of the season. He would have signed by now. I don't think there's any. He's listen. They say all the right things in their interviews and 56, 57, 58, all that sort of stuff. We all lap it up. It's brilliant. But I'm a great believer in actions speak louder than words. If you love, listen, he talks passionately. I watched the Relentless video last night, and it's great. And he talks as though he really enjoys being at Rangers. So for whatever reason, it can only be financial. For me, I think Rangers will have made probably the maximum offer that we can afford. He's probably looking at it and saying, "This is my last opportunity to get a move down south." He's not really played down south due to his health issues and what have you. So he might sign for a West Brom or somebody like that in the Championship and maybe get 40 grand a week or something like that, But I don't expect him to sign now. Kamara was quoted whilst on international duty to basically say, he said all the right things as well, but contradicted a wee bit what the manager had said. The manager had said the club and his agent were both happy with the offer. The ball is now in the player's court. We're now a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks since Steven Gerrard said that, and he's not committed. So I think... Again, I think we're being played a wee bit. I would expect Kamara to move on at the end of this season as well. I just think that he'll be going into the last 12 months of his contract come summer 2022. So unfortunately, I expect us to lose both Goldson and Kamara next summer.
Just very, very, very quickly, the group chat just buzzed and it was Alan asking about the electronic passports. Must be like an app or something, and the app's not even ready yet, and it won't be ready till the end of the month. That's just absolute madness.
See the thing with the app. 3 months ago, it was broken because you could actually go online and edit it.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that is still able to happen, but we are now 3.5 weeks away from this. Surely, before you actually vote on something, you maybe get an app that works. Or am I maybe speaking too ambitiously to expect that of a government, that you actually would plan appropriately and you would actually have, right, this is what we're going to do, and something by January 2022, this is all going to be done and dusted, and then we'll vote on it. But get an app that actually proves that people are double vaccinated or single vaccinated or whatever it may be, so that you have proof rather than a bit of a fag packet that proves that you're vaccinated. We've been miles behind. I think down south, when they've been vaccinated, they've actually been given something when they've left their appointment.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just that it sums up the way that we do things up here. Everything's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Shambles.
I know, maybe if you're single vaccinated, you might be allowed in for the first half. Goldson, no contract. Kamara, no contract. I think was it Ross Wilson, I think, said either today or yesterday, I think it was Ross Wilson, that they knocked back substantial bids for players. And I would imagine, obviously, one of those players who they knocked back a substantial bid for was Kamara. So the fact that we kind of know now that there was bids for him and that they were substantial, so you're talking 15. Does that give you a bit of confidence that possibly there might be a new contract in the offing for him?
No, I agree. I think both of them will be away. I think if they wanted to stay, they're ready to put pen to paper. Because at the end of the day, saying a contract doesn't mean they can't go anyway.
Exactly.
It just protects the club. But if they go on a free, might sign for somebody pre-contract in January, they might hold out. But if they go for a free, they get more wages and a bigger sign-on fee because there's no transfer fee involved. So if they wanted to stay, they would have stayed. But to be honest with you, I'm not going to hold anything against it, both guys, because it's a job for them. They're no fans like us, so if they can double, treble their money, they'll take it. Like Golson, like Scott said, it might be his last big contract. Kamara, he's been knocking people's doors for the last few months, especially with playing with Finland. So I think you could end up getting a move to a very big club, and maybe Italy or somewhere. I don't know, but you'll get a move somewhere. You'll make a lot of money, but it'll be a very good league you'll go to. Golson, probably maybe bottom level Premiership, Championship, but both of them will still be on a lot more than the Rangers, and I think that's the way football is, Martin. There's no loyalty unless it's guys who maybe supported the club. Even then, money talks. So if they can double, treble the money, they're going to take it.
Yeah, that's true. And look, John, very funny, Martin. I'm a really funny guy. You know what I mean? I don't know, I think I'm a funny guy. Brian, final word to you on the Kamara Goldson situation, and then we'll move on.
I've always lived in hope that they would sign, but I'm starting to lose a bit of belief, and I'm probably the most optimistic person in the world. So, I'm starting to lose a wee bit of hope as well. When I heard what they said in their, the relentless video and what they've said, and they're leaving it to their agents. They're happy with this. They're happy with that. It gives you a bit of hope, but I just don't see why are they not signing? Why is it taking so long if they're happy? Just sign it. But
I know.
See the thing as well. I'm reading some of the comments talking about offers and valuations and stuff like that. Glenn Kamara is probably worth about 20 million in the current market. There is not a cat and hell's chance if he runs down his contract to go into the last 12 months of his contract. Are we getting anywhere close to that? I think we're in a position where we're obviously talking about two players, but there's a lot of players out of contract in 2023. So we have a lot of players, Morelos, Ken, Aribo, all going into the last 2 years of their contract.
That's a good point.
You talk about players going into the last 18 months. That's when you want to be. You see it down south with the major clubs down south, that they're continually extending players' contracts because it protects the club, protects the value. Although Man United are probably still going to lose Pogba for free for the second time, right enough. But I think that's the challenge. I think Ross Wilson has got over the next 6-7 months is to get Aribo extended, to get Kent extended. Morelos potentially add another year onto his contract, so that if we get Champions League football, we win the league, he's going to want to play it. He clearly wants to play in the Champions League, so that might be a carrot to get him extended a bit longer. But I think you could be in a position where next summer that there's a wee bit of I'm not saying a rebuild, but I think there could be a number of players leave unless they all extend to say 2024, 2025 sort of situation, So it's we are settled just now, and I was grateful at the end of the transfer window that we retained our squad. I don't know if we'll be quite as lucky come the start of next season.
Good point made by Club at 22, the Rangers podcast. By the way, really good podcast. If you haven't checked it out, go and check it out. And the host over there is so much better than me. On the other side of the city, got 15 million for Edwards, so still got a decent amount for Kamara end of the season. Keir, that's something we've discussed before about, and we'll always be open and honest. We've got blue tinted specs, of course we do, but we will always be honest. They have just been so much better at getting money for their players than what we have. But is that the point? Like, whether it was 12, 15, 18 million or whatever it was for Edward, even if Kamara's in the last year of his contract, should Ross Wilson still be looking to get a good fee for him?
We should still be looking to get the best we can for him. I mean, you don't give players away for next to nothing, do you? So we still be looking for something. But mean, Kamara's basically in control where he goes. Well, not so much where he goes, but what happens. He can keep holding out. Golson's the same, and it's very difficult. I mean, I don't think we'd offers. Well, no, Ross Wilson said we'd offers in the summer. I think we'd any decent offers, 1 or 2 might have went, because you can't knock back that money because it might never come round again. So I don't know if a lot of that was smoke and mirrors myself, but. I think you'll still get money for Kamara because Kamara's only going to get better and he's still quite young, so he's only going to get better. Golson's the other end of the scale, but I feel with players like Aribo and Kent, they might sign new deals because they're still young, so another year or two at Rangers, they can still go to England for big money. It's different when you're nearly 30, you're wanting that big move, but if you're Aribo's still young, Kent's still young, so I wouldn't be worried about them leaving. Morelos, I think he wants to maybe go somewhere different, just to challenge himself.
See the one thing with see my last bit on this. The thing I think sell-on clauses. I think you may not get what the maximum fee that you want for Glenn Kamara, as an example, next summer. I don't think that will be the last time he moves for big money. No. So if he signed for Everton, for example, just pick a club, 12 million. I'll say 12 million, right? But it could be a similar situation to what Celtic done when Van Dijk went to Southampton. They got 13 million and then stuck a sell-on clause. I'm not saying Glenn Kamara's going to go for 75 million, but you may then make in a couple of years' time down the line, you make more money. So I think, not just with Kamara, I think that's something that we have to look at for any player that we're looking to sell, that we're sticking sell-on clauses and incentivising if they perform well when they move.
Right, we're going to move on because you have mentioned the Relentless video, so I'm going to ask you about it. But before we do, RFC56 has put this in the comments a few times, and I don't want him to think I'm ignoring them. I'm not. But just very quickly, Club at 22, I think we're equally as bad. Do not be that hard on yourself. Nobody is as bad as me. And I don't know if this is true, Brian, but I'll take this to yourself. Are we all just going to forget about Kelly sitting on the bench all year? Madness. We're not that far into the season. We've got plenty of games coming up, and I'm more than confident that young Stephen Kelly will get his fair shot this season.
Of course there will. I mean, there's cup games, there's league games, there's suspensions, there's injuries. He'll play his part in some shape, way, or form this year. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it's he's obviously not in the first 11, but with injuries, suspensions, and all the games that are coming up, he's definitely going to play. There's no doubt about it. It's just a case of how many. And as Stephen Gerrard's always said in the past, he picks a team who he thinks is going to play. Although after watching the Relentless video after St Mirren last year, he's maybe going to rethink his League Cup sort of team picking. But he'll definitely play this year, no doubt. 20 games, 15, 20 games.
Is RFC Care right to be a little bit worried though? I mean, I don't want to say that we've seen in the past that maybe Gerrard hasn't played youngsters, because I genuinely can't think off the top of my head, and I don't know if there's been that many youngsters for him to play. But I mean, like Ross McCrory, he played him. But is RFC right to be a little bit worried?
I mean, everybody's got their own opinion. I'm not worried. I think Stephen Kelly is good enough, and over time he will become in the squad, maybe even in the first team. I think there's guys in front of him he's not going to drop before him. I mean, Davis is there, Kamara is there, Aribo's there, so they're going to play before Stephen Kelly at this moment in time. But he's been in and about the first team. Don't want to send him back out on loan for obvious reasons, so he wants him there to be ready for, so when he does get his chance he can take it. And he's still young, he's been out on loan a few seasons, but if he sticks about the first team this season, he learns from people like especially Stephen Davis. Stephen Davis is getting older all the time. I mean, Kamara, you don't know, like we say, is going to be there. So there's going to be chances for Stephen Kelly to come into the squad and come into the team. So proving himself in the training pitch to the manager, because that's where the manager likes to see you. Prove yourself, and just his attitude and his everything about him, just being about the first team. If he gets that over to the manager, he'll get his chance. He will get his chance.
Just before you jump in, Cammy, because there's a look Cammy gives you, right? You've almost got this sixth sense that he's going to just jump in there. Shut up, I'm going to talk. That's the kind of Cammy look. Anybody watching, just look for it. You'll see it in his eyes. Just before you come in, Cammy, we've got Willie Urban, man, in the comments tonight. Nobody knows more about the youth side, youth development than Willie Urban. And what Willie's saying is that they want Stephen to stay and train with the players over the season to develop further. Would that be such a negative for Stephen this season, Cammy, if he didn't play as much and just trained with the team?
I don't think there's anything to be gained by further loans. However, I am concerned, and I've spoke to Willie about this before, that there's so many players ahead of him. You know, I mean, I'll use the cup tie against Livingston we've got Livingston coming up. The one against Dunfermline, we had the game won, and Arfield came on before Kelly. Stevie Kelly only got the last 10 minutes. That frustrated me because I love Scotty Arfield, but we know what Scott Arfield can do. Stephen Gerrard knows what Scott Arfield can do. That for me was an ideal opportunity to give Stephen Kelly 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was in the second half when the game was won. I think we've got Livingston coming up in the League Cup, and I know Bryan referenced the manager talking about his cup team. I think a home game against a team like Livingston, I think, is the sort of game that he will be able to make a number of changes. And I think that's the sort of game for me that is ideal to not give Stephen Davis the night off, and Stevie Kelly plays as the number 6 for me. I just worry that I don't think he'll get anywhere near 15 to 20 games this season, just purely because Bakuna's came in, Lundstrom's came in, Aribo, Hadji can play as an 8. You know, Ryan Jack could at some point return. If Ryan Jack comes back, he then jumps ahead of Stevie Kelly. You know, but Kerr is 100% bang on. If I was Stephen Kelly, every single day in training, that's all you can do, is be the best player that he can be every single day in training, and make sure that the manager is noticing that. Because that's all he can do. He can only look after himself and train hard. But I would love to see him get more opportunities this season.
I suppose that you're right. It's up to the player. It's up to the player to push his way in. Stuart Keane, this wasn't even in the agenda. We're 35 minutes in. Oh, you're killing me here, man. Right, Ryan Jack can't be far away. He's in the Europa League squad. Stuart, man, I've got so much more to talk about. Do you know, I was struggling today at work because I've been ill all week. I had to quickly put together an agenda, and now there's just too much to talk about.
Can
Ryan,
I just say my own opinion on that?
Did you see the look? Did you see the look? Did you see the look? Did you see the Cammy eyes?
I don't think it means anything. Scott is trained for the UEFA list, whatever it may be. Ryan Jack's been out for 7 months. He's no sudden. Listen, hopefully by game 6 or game 5, he might be available to play. But there's not a chance that he's going to be available to play in the short term, unless Stephen Gerrard surprises us tomorrow by saying he's had a fantastic international break and he's kicking a ball and he's tackling and all that sort of stuff. But I'm not reading anything into the UEFA list at all.
Right, before we come to that really quickly, I mean, I could just phone him, but he's in the comments. Martin was supposed to take me to Bonnyrigg on Saturday, but he's forgotten already. No, I haven't. Alan's doing the post-match. I'm taking you to Bonnyrigg. I haven't forgot. And then I've got a stag do after it, but that's a whole other story. Kerr, Ryan Jack in the Europa League squad, is that positive news that he might be back sooner rather than later? If we just ignore everything Cammy just said?
No, I think Cammy's spawn, to be fair. It's positive news, but you can't boot for that length of time and get put straight back into the first 11 for European away game or European game at Ibrox, because he wouldn't be up to speed. He needs his fitness back and match fitness as well. So, but it's good news he's in it, just for the fact that we feel he may be nearing full fitness. But also, is it good news in that way? And if he doesn't get a game, like maybe because he's not 100% fit, he's not taking the space away maybe from somebody else in, and just let Ryan Jack get fit and get back to normality, and say, I'm maybe trying to force him too much. I'm just trying to look on the other side of it.
Kerr, are you coming to Bonnyrigg on Saturday?
Supposed to be, aye.
Oh, so William had arranged to go with you and you were going to drive and he didn't want me to take him, is that what it is?
No, he said that you would take us.
Oh,
sorry,
right.
Sorry, William.
Just my fuel. Bryan, Ryan Jack, be more positive than they two.
He's good. Well, he's he's going to have to get some form of pre-season in him, because as the guys were saying, he's been out an awful long time. It's positive that he's in the squad, obviously, for the Europa League squad, but he's going to have to push himself, and it might be the latter stages of the group stage before we see him, I would say, depending obviously how his fitness is, but he's going to have to put in a lot of work and get the sort of pre-season going. I'm sorry, Martin.
No, Ian, stop adding to the agenda. Right, okay, right. So the Ryan Jack chat finished really quickly. Cammy, Simpson was the only dropout from the Euro squad. What does that say for Jack Simpson? Jesus, there's so much to talk about.
I just think
20 seconds go.
Bassey will be the fourth. He'll be the fourth choice at centre half. Simple as that. Bassey can double. Bassey can play left back and left centre back. So
utility player.
Aye, that's it. The ideal player for these sort of squads.
If you're using a utility player, Kerr,
yeah,
in a Europa League squad instead of a fully fledged centre back, what does that say about that centre back's place in that squad?
He's still learning the game. He's still young, and he's still get used to Scottish football and European football. He didn't play a lot of games for Bournemouth. To me, I'm not seeing enough of him to say if he's good enough or not. But that's up to Steven Gerrard. He's a manager. But Walter done it when he was a Rangers manager. So if Walter can do it, Steven Gerrard can do it.
And I think there will be players. There will be young players for the B team that are in the Scottish change squad. So that'll in an emergency, these guys would be able to slot in as well.
Yeah.
Bryan?
Yeah, I mean, Jim Simpson's still a young guy, so there's plenty of time. I mean, no, I wouldn't be too worried at this point.
Right, okay. So, sorry I had to make that so quick. It's just people stop giving me agenda points in the comments, please. No, I'm only joking. Keep them coming. Bryan, obviously Rangers released the Relentless video. We were all obviously expecting the inside 55 that we were expecting it didn't come. We wanted it the next week, the week after, and it felt like about 10 years ago we should have seen it. What did you make of Relentless?
It brought back so many memories, and unfortunately not being at the games, but remembering every game that you watched on your telly or your laptop, your mobile, or wherever you were. And some of the moments in the season, you were like, "Oh, remember that moment now and that goal? That was crucial. That was brilliant." But I think the chat from all the players at the end of the video, it was, and the management team and the coaching staff. I mean, it was just brilliant. It was, it definitely brought a lump to your throat watching it. It was brilliant.
I hope it didn't bring a lump to your stomach.
No, throat. Sorry, throat.
That's a hernia.
It was just brilliant.
I that checked out. That could be quite serious.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
You've got the heart of stone. You're quite an evil person. Did it bring a wee tear to your eye? Did it leave a lump in your stomach?
To be honest with you, Martin, I've not watched it yet. I'm watching it a weekend. So
I've not watched it yet either. I'm waiting for the weekend.
I've been busy, so I've not watched it. So I want to watch it a weekend. You
All
can't
right,
even get a stag do.
Oh, so I do, and then I'm going to Edinburgh on Sunday to watch my wee brother. Damn it. Cammy?
I would have liked a wee bit more behind the scenes, but for what it was very well put together. Great contributions from everybody, and the last sort of 10-15 minutes was a bit emotional when you see the manager. I mean, I'm a bit.
It's not like you to get emotional, Cammy.
Aye, mate. Listen, I'm a bit emotional. See, to be fair, watching it at 11 o'clock at night before I was going to my bed was never the best idea, sort of thing, you know. So, it was good, and it, as Bryan rightly said, it brought back you were recalling how you felt the Motherwell game when we lost that goal after like 2 or 3 minutes, after just a couple of days after we'd been beat with St Mirren in the Cup, and how you were feeling, and social media and Twitter was going mental, and then 3 goals in the last 20 minutes, and just the sheer elation when Big Itten scored that second goal. You know, it was good, and it was certainly worth a fiver. You know, I mean, it's
I'm going to come to that.
It's another fiver to add to the £300 they're taking off me this week.
I'm going to come to that, but before I do, I just put the comment up, but I'll re-put it up. Aldo McNaught again, smash the like button and hit the subscribe, and also get over to Patreon. Now, I'll let you away with that, Aldo, because you put it in the comments every week, but that's not how you spell Patreon, right? But I'll let you away with it. And I will just remind everybody, if you are enjoying it, please do like and subscribe. Our YouTube numbers are just skyrocketing. It's unbelievable. I think we're about 320 away from like 3,000.
If I had 10,000, we need to get a vaccine passport, remember?
Yeah, of course, then everybody who's watching will need to be vaccinated. That's true. And again, I will repeat. It's really difficult for me to come on here and ask people to pay money for something. All right, I get it. It's £2 a month on our Patreon for loads and loads of extra content. We're going to have in the future. We're going to have live shows. Patreon members obviously get first access, Q&As, plenty of behind the scenes stuff. It's all to help us grow. And I'm going to use the word that Cammy hates, because I've said we're not fan media, but we do podcasts, we do blogs, we've now got Patreon. The Rangers Rabble is now fan media, and at Cammy, I know you're going to hit me after the pod for saying that, but we are. So I want us to grow as much as possible. I started on Rangers Radio. I then moved to another podcast before I came here. My inspiration was I was going to say Ibrox Rocks. My inspiration was Heart and Hand at Ibrox Rocks on Twitter, obviously. And I'm just trying to be anything I can do to try and get up to a point where we can be that fan-led media alongside them. Obviously not alongside them, they're massive, we'll never get to that, but we want to try and grow as much as possible. So the link's in the description for our Patreon. We want to become a fully fledged member of the fan media team. If you want to help us do that and grow, please do head over to Patreon.
Martin, what was the deal? Did you fail to agree a new contract with your previous podcast, and you just
I will not be commenting. We shall very swiftly move on.
I'll tell you what,
He walked away.
I'll tell you what, contract run out.
I'll tell you what, you could do no worse than getting Cammy as your agent.
That's very true. Listen, I was going to, while we're talking about the Patreon stuff, it's probably a good segue. Look, we're only going to do a couple of minutes on this because it has been done to death. And listen, Heart and Hand don't need any help off of us. I mean, you've seen the reaction, Care, to the Daily Record's hit piece.
Yep.
And I still think mainstream media, newspapers, news outlets, everything, they don't understand the power of fan media. Now, had they hit someone like us, it might have been deadly for us. But when you hit somebody like Heart and Hand, who had at the time like 6,000 sign-ups to Patreon, now it's jumped to over 7,000. They certainly hit the wrong target.
He didn't. I mean, David Edgar knows what he's doing. The boys are all good at what they're doing. I think the Daily Record in general, I don't know if it's an agenda against Rangers or just a agenda against fan media, but it was quite harsh what they done, I feel, because the papers nowadays, I don't buy a paper. I can't even tell you the last time I bought a paper.
No.
And I need to go to a chip shop. They don't even sell you chips and newspapers anymore. It's just normal paper. So even they don't buy the papers or get them for free. But so I just feel with papers, the media are going out. Nobody's really listening to me anymore unless they're telling stories. And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for a story because Rangers are now making big stories in Scotland, be it being the football club, be it the fans, be it being the fan media, etc. So this must have been orchestrated for a while, right enough. You just didn't do it overnight. So it's been orchestrated for a while to look through all the many messages and stuff like that. But I feel, the Daily Records went from, I don't know, probably about 1 million papers, 800,000 papers to about 50,000 papers. It's a big drop. And a lot of these guys are freelance, so they might be like getting the jobs and stuff. And there's a lot involved in it. But to be honest with you, if you're going to go for fan media, there's a lot of different fan medias out there from every club in Scotland, all over the UK as well. So to just pinpoint one, there was an agenda behind it, and hopefully the boys at Heart and Hand get through this. And like you said, they went from strength to strength, and they're always going to be, because somebody like David Edgar doesn't sit back and take it. He's one of these guys who fights back with everything he's got. So good to see. I still listen to Heart and Hand every day with the updates and stuff, so it's good to see. But no, I think the agenda against Rangers is quite bad at the moment, but I don't really want to say much more about that. I'll pass it on to Cammy.
Cammy, you're signed up to Heart and Hand? You listen to a lot of their stuff. It's fantastic. It's brilliant. The agenda from Daily Record was clear. It was all about, well, why do they get media access and we don't? Because you never paid the money, basically. So they done the hit piece. It backfired, and we're not going to go into it because I don't want to talk about something that we might end up saying the wrong thing and blah 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 blah. But now it's backfired on their own journalists.
Well, I think the Daily Record's intentions were very clear. I think their nose is obviously out of joint because of the media partnership aspect of it. So they've went after three of the guys across there, but the Daily Record as a whole, what's obviously went on in the last 4 or 5 days, not just with their own journalists. It's had a wider knock-on effect in other people within the public domain. I'm not a fan of trawling over people's historic tweets. However, they set the rules with regard to it. They thought that was good enough to try and do that to the boys across there. And then what's happened to other people, but the Daily Record's dead on its arse, to be honest with you. It's it's newspapers are as Kerr quite rightly says, a dying breed, and I think it's been a little bit tiresome reading it constantly on social media. However, I think it has also been equally enjoyable to see the Rangers support pretty much as a whole going after this and highlighting. Somebody would say a comment and then somebody would, what's the thing they say? There's always a tweet.
There is always
a tweet.
Was this you? This you?
And I think there's a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of two-faced people on Twitter particularly, so it's been enjoyable to see certain people, but that's my tuppence worth on it.
Aye, do you know what? That was going to be my next point, Brian. It turned this into an absolute and complete positive. Not only is the positive that Heart and Hands subscriptions have went through the roof, not only is it a positive, the people that were already subscribed have took the bigger packages, but the response on social media was like something I've never seen before. I've seen nights on Rangers Twitter where the fans have been joyful and it's exploded, but I've never seen anything quite that is a response quite like that.
Well, as David Edgar said in his YouTube message, he says you've not just come after a couple of us, he says you've come after tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of us, and I think the motto that I've always stood by is the motto, if you haven't those that haven't sinned, cast the first stone. So basically, make sure your own house is squeaky clean before you go and target anybody else's. And I'm afraid the Record have been caught with their pants down big style here. They didn't obviously check who was in their own house and what they were doing, but they've gleefully and orchestrated this attack on them, and it's went sideways and reversed a good few miles back to their own headquarters. And I for one, am quite delighted about it.
A motto that he always uses that he struggled to remember. I think that might have possibly been a lie you told there, Brian.
No.
So that's came back to bite you.
No.
See what I done there?
Yeah.
Aye, absolutely. And we all hope Heart and Hand goes from strength to strength. The Record goes that way and we move on. International week is our fortnight, or is it month? Is it a year? I don't know. It's finally over. Cammy, although within that, we've seen some performances from our own players. A massive congratulations, by the way, to Kemar Roof, making his debut for Jamaica. Fantastic. Glenn Kamara against France. I didn't see the game, but from what I hear, he was outstanding. But the biggest takeaway I think we have from the international football was Borna Barisic being the best player on the pitch for Croatia. After obviously what we'd seen before it, he was good in the Celtic game, but he still wasn't quite back. But to go on international duty and be the best player on the pitch, amazing.
I think it's been good for him as well, though. I think it's been the longest international break in the history of the world. I think the Celtic game on the 29th of August feels like about a month past. It's I'm not a massive fan of the international breaks, but 3 games in a short space. But Borna missed the first 2 games for Croatia, but he's played really well in the 3rd match, and I think that's great. But he's the type. He's a confidence player. There's undoubtedly he's going to have taken confidence from his performance and his assist for the Hollander goal on the 29th, and he's had a positive international. And then, you know, I still think we'll probably need to manage him, and I think hopefully I think Bassey's back in training, so I think you'll probably get there'll be a bit of horses for courses between the two of them, you know. But listen, it's Borna's one of those. He's either down on the ground, or his confidence is sky high, sort of thing, you know. So hopefully this is the start of him back to his best form in the weeks ahead.
Before I bring you in, Kerr, Nicholas Moore, would love to see a Rangers newspaper. Great idea. So obviously somebody's put that in the comments before. My apologies for not seeing it. We have a website, rangersrabble.co.uk, because if I don't bring it up, Billy will kill me. Where you can get plenty of blogs, our own youth development page, and of course you can catch all the podcasts on there. Our very own Jamie Duff, I released it last night. I should have released it today, but I wanted to get it out there. Done a brilliant piece on the stuff with the Daily Mail and fan media. So go and check that out, rangersrabble.co.uk. Kerr, international football over, but again, going back to some of the players, and I've lost the comment, Aldo McNaught. What about Hadji's first touch? Was that better than Scott Allen's pass?
Hadji's one of these players that can do things like that enough. He's got so much quality, and I think in international football, even playing against good teams, he's going to get a wee bit more time to produce these types of things because he's playing against better players, and sometimes it does up here. It's just sad that he's going back with COVID, isn't he? So we're going to be missing him for a while. But I think all the players that's been away in international duty have done really well. I know you probably mentioned it, but I was really pleased to see Nathan Patterson involved with Scotland, and was unlucky not to score. He was getting forward, he was doing well, and I think with Nathan Patterson, the Scotland team, Scotland will get better, because I feel he adds a different dimension to him. Because watching on that against Austria, who weren't great, I thought the boy O'Donnell was struggling at times, but I thought if Nathan Patterson was there, Scotland would be a lot more efficient going forward, even defensively. But it's good to see all the players coming back for international duty. Obviously we'll miss Hadji, but if it gets players like Borna a bit more match fitness under their belt and stuff like that, and Kemar, hopefully he comes back, and Jay Free getting a national debut, it gives them confidence as well, gives them time away for just the SPL, so it's good to see. But hopefully come back with some confidence, and we can start afresh on Saturday.
But listen, I watched the Scotland game, and I mean, if you go through life like Andy Walker, I mean, alright, he had no end game. But I mean, the runs he was trying to make were fantastic. Yeah, O'Donnell.
Even O'Donnell's a very average football player. He'll be 100%, and he's good at what he does. But a couple of times he's been throwing goals, and he's like a rabbit caught in headlights. He's got limited ability. He's good with teams like Motherwell, Kilmarnock, because he's good at what they do. Stevie Clark knows how to play him. But against better opposition, I feel he can struggle defensively. He's always going to get forward. He's got a good engine, but just Nathan Patterson got a wee bit more, and I think he would offer more going forward. He's a wee bit more like Andy Robertson, Nathan Patterson. So I think with him in one, Robertson on one side, Rob Patterson on the other, I think Scotland's got a wee bit more going forward, a wee bit more dimension in their game going forward.
Maybe I'm just overcooking it, but I think Patterson's got the potential to be better than Robertson. Brian, on Patterson, I was delighted for him. The game that he did manage to play, fantastic. Basically set up the goal. Absolutely delighted for him.
Yeah. It's difficult not to hype the lad up, but he is going to be amazing, and it's so nice to see a kid of that age getting a chance in the national team. And as I was discussing on Twitter with somebody today, we Rangers over the years have had better players who have had no caps or 3 caps, or David Robertson only got 3 caps. Martin.
Don't even get me started. Get me started.
So what I mean, I could go through a list of Rangers players that have had. Oh well.
Don't get me started.
So it's just nice.
The Scotland team was better back then, to be fair.
Oh, but it was Tom Boyd. Sorry, carry on.
So, but it's it's nice to see Rangers players getting a bit of a crack of the whip.
I mean, Tom Boyd, what on earth, man? Oh, sorry, Brian. I'm going to put my microphone on mute.
But no, it's just nice to see a kid like that getting the reward when basically there's nobody else. Well, there is O'Donnell, but there's no other competition for the position. So it's nice to see a kid getting a chance. Sorry, Martin.
I mean, Tom Boyd. I don't
agree with you, but obviously Craig Brown and Andy Roxbury was always going to get a game before.
Yeah.
Robertson.
Bomber Brown didn't even get one. None.
Yeah.
But never mind any of that. David Robertson, for me, was the greatest left back of all time. So, I mean, was it? Anyway, let's move on before I absolutely lose the plot. St Johnstone on Saturday, Cammy. How much are you looking? It's still the stupid #crap question, but how much are you looking forward to it?
I can't wait. I'm not a huge fan of the lunchtime kickoff, whether it's Saturday or Sunday. I'll be interested to see what the manager's got to say tomorrow at his presser. Obviously, players coming back at different stages because of the internationals. The likes of Hollander obviously played the full game Wednesday night. Steve Davis played the full game Wednesday night. You know, I mean, Steve Davis is like, you know, he can play and play and play. But I think I'll be surprised if we see Hollander on Saturday, just purely because he needs to be managed. And I think he was managed by Sweden during the international break. But we just have to... The Celtic game means nothing if we don't follow it up with 3 points on Saturday. And we have to now go into the next 5, 6, 7... and whatever, you know, we have to just start going a run of winning games. We've had a difficult start to the season. You know, we're still in a very strong position. We've got a favourable set of fixtures coming up, but we have to just go there on Saturday to a ground that is generally pretty tricky. I don't know whether the fact they've lost a couple of players will have a negative impact.
I think that could have a massive impact, if I'm being honest.
But at the end of the day, we just have to go. A performance would be great, but I always think away games, it's just about going, getting the 3 points and get back up the roads without any injuries or suspensions or anything. But I can't wait to get back.
Cammy makes the biggest point there, Kerr, and he's 100% right. There's no point in beating Celtic, and then in your next game, even though it's 6 months later, dropping points. And look, McDermott Park, I've been there. And I mean this with all due respect, because I've got a lot of time for I think Callum Davis is a cracking manager. They've got a fantastic goalkeeper. It's a horrible stadium, and it's somewhere where we have struggled under Gerrard.
We have. St Johnstone make it tough for a lot of teams up there. It's the way they play, and Callum Davidson sets his team out really well. They've got a good shape. They're organised well, and they're difficult to break down. I know you mentioned Jason Kerr's left and Ali McCann left, and they brought in Ali Crawford, who's not the same type as McCann, but he knows Scottish football. So they'll all give us a good game, and it's up to Rangers to be ready for it and produce the goods to get the victory, because it's not going to come with just turning up. We have to turn up and put in the effort, put in the performance, and show people that we beat Celtic. Now we're marching on to beat St Johnstone and keep the run going, because you said, and Cammy said, you can't beat Celtic and be on a high and then go to St Johnstone and struggle. So we need to keep the performances coming. So it'll be interesting to see who's in the squad for Saturday, like Cammy said, after international break, and obviously Hadji's missing as well.
Important, Brian, and is it RFC again? We're going to get him on the panel. Need to start fast, no passing it side to side. Is that what it's all about on Saturday? Start fast, foot in the throat?
Yeah, I think it is. And I think Kamara will be the man to get that going, because that's what he's good at. He's good at getting the ball and running with it and bringing other people into play. But this is the type of games that Aberdeen aways, the Hibs, the Hearts, the St Johnstones. These are the games that if we really, if you want to win a league, this is where you want to pick up the 3 points with no mistakes. You can't afford to be dropping points at these games. This is the games where you really need your 3 points. But as Cammy says, you kind of get to the stage where you just want. If it was a 1-0 off Morelos' arse in the last minute, who cares? It's just get your 3 points. Games on the road are never easy now because we're the ones with the target in our back. So, and obviously Motherwell showed that in the first away game of the season where they beat us 1-0. So we're going to be everybody's cup final now. So we're not going to find it easy just turning up and thinking we're going to get the 3 points. And hopefully the Dundee United game showed us that, well, we're not just going to turn up and win games. We've got to fight for it. We've got to want it. And hopefully that'll be the warning shot that we've had.
And obviously, Cammy, it will be good to see the gaffer back.
Definitely. I think he's been on, you've seen him on his social media and what have his wee boys starting school and stuff. So he's looking as handsome as ever. So
ridiculously handsome. It's not even fair.
I would climb over his wife to get to him, I must admit.
You know that there's certain journalists out there who don't like it when people who represent the club in any aspect don't treat them professionally and talk about them like that.
Sorry.
I'm just saying there's journalists out there who don't like it. The same journalists who deep-throated David Murray. But however, sorry, carry on.
But it'd be great to see the gaffer, and I'm just interested to hear what he's got to say, because we obviously know Tav was one of the ones that was actually affected by COVID. I think he had updated. I think he's a regular on Twitch, which I have absolutely no idea about.
I tried to get us on Twitch, and it lasted one episode, so I have no idea.
I think he had updated and said that he was starting to feel a bit better, and I think he started pre-season. He started training again on Monday. I think it'll be interesting. Just obviously Nathan missing the Scotland game. Hopefully that was just precautionary.
Took my next question away from me.
Sorry, I listen.
Too many questions tonight, Martin. Too many.
But Nathan, obviously, we have to see what the situation is there, because there's a part of me would actually probably start Patterson on Saturday, just purely because the schedule coming up is pretty chaotic, and to allow Tav just that extra opportunity to get himself 100% over COVID. Although he's a super fit guy, and I imagine he's probably the type of guy that's he's just bounced straight back into it, you know. But I think that will determine, our defensive setup. I think whoever's playing right back, because if both of the players are missing out, then you would probably have to play Balogun at right back again, which I think it served its purpose in the Celtic game, but I wouldn't like it to become a thing on a regular basis.
I wouldn't like it to become a thing, but I will never ever question it again. That's for absolute sure. Kieran, me and you both do the Best of the Rest show on Patreon, where we discuss, I say we, I ask the questions and you answer them, the rest of the teams in the league. What do St Johnstone offer as a threat to us?
I mean, they've got boys that can score goals. A boy Kane up front. They've got, obviously, Middleton can't play against us, can he? No. So he's missing, but they've got obviously O'Halloran as well, and they've got boys in the middle of the park that can score goals. Murray Davidson. So they're going to be a threat. I mean, I know big fingers here as well. What's called big fullback Sean something.
Oh, Rooney.
Yeah, I've just said that we do a Best of the Rest show. Come on.
But no, it's not about St Johnstone, is it?
Well, they're part of it, aye.
Done one episode, Martin. Calm down. He's a threat as well, mate. I mean, seen last season they caused us problems a few games, so it's not going to be a walk in the park. I mean, I see people saying 3-0, 3-0, 3-0, and I actually hope it is 3-0, but I think it'll be tough on. I think we'll still win, but I think it'll be hard. We have to go out there for the start and just play the way we can play and show them the way Rangers play football, and don't do all this passing it aside, passing back like we done against United, where we failed to get into any rhythm, failed to make any shots and goal, and then they get a lucky bounce and get a shot and they scored, and then we struggled to even work their keeper after that. So I think we need to go in the lead on Saturday. We need to hold on to it, but we just need the 3 points first, and that's what we need the most, the 3 points.
And normally at this point I would say he's right, give me your starting 11, who's going to start, but I've been thinking about that lately, and maybe people in the comments like it, I don't know, people watching like it. I think it's pretty pointless, to be brutally honest with you, because we've got that big a squad now that you can maybe name 5 or 6 that you're pretty sure are going to start. So I'll change the question up slightly. Brian, who would you like to see start the game? You don't need to go through the whole team, just give me a couple of names, because there's a few people in the comments given they would like to see Bakuna, they would like to see Sakala try and get his hands on a jersey. Who would you like to see on the pitch on Saturday?
Well, Patterson for 100%. I'd like to see him start. I don't know. Bakuna will probably make a subs appearance like Sakala, I would say. I can't see them starting the game. I think he'd like to see the game won before those guys come on. So, no, I think he'll still go with tried and tested up front. I still think he'll go with Kent, Roof, and Morelos up front. And the only difference might be Davis, but all depending on how he's feeling. But I really don't want to see many changes.
Oh, Ian Moore in the comments, do we like to see a centre midfield of Davis, Kamara and Bakuna? Cammy, yourself, who would you like to see on the pitch on Saturday?
I just hope that all the players that were missing for the Celtic game, basically, we don't know whether they were symptoms, McGregor and guys like that. You know what I mean? Ryan Kent obviously played whilst less than fully fit. I'm hoping that the international break, Morelos and Sakala didn't obviously go with their international teams, though I think it was, particularly for Buff, I think it was the ideal opportunity to give him a mini pre-season, because I think he just needs a wee bit of sharpness. So I'm hoping that we see a sharper. Listen, I love him, but he's not been at his sharpest over the first few weeks, obviously, understandably. But I just want to see as many players available for selection as possible. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, that's what we want going into a busy schedule and ahead of Lyon on Thursday night.
Excuse me, Aldo in the comments. Scott Wright, he wants to see Scott Wright. Stuart Keane, I'll take us to you, Kurt. Will McGregor come back?
Yeah, I think if Alan's fit and he's want to play and the manager thinks he should play, then he will come back in. Robbie McCrory done great against Celtic, but I think McGregor's the number one, isn't he? So he's going to have to come back into the team.
Right, guys, an hour and 7 minutes. I think that might do us, because I know that Brian's desperate for a smoke. Cammy's probably on bedtime duties tonight, and Kerr just only wants to do an hour because that's all he's paid for. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on tonight. Thank you, everybody in the comments. Please do like, subscribe if you enjoy the content. Link for Patreon is in the description. Every support helps. Thank you very much. We'll be back, but I won't be because apparently I'm taking care in Wally Fruity Bonnyrig. But Alan will be back with match reaction on Saturday. So until then, stay safe and we'll speak to you very, very soon.